But when I reached the age of 30, one fine day, I realized I woke up from a long sleep kind of a
Right.
thing that, hey, what happened to my
Hmm.
entrepreneurial dream? I am 30 now,
Hmm.
and if I don't do anything about it, no one else will.
Hmm.
Wow. I like your questions, they're really good.
Anshu, your commitment clearly shows how hungry you are to add value.
Hello and welcome to the Limitless Show. Today, I have a guest who is into sales and she is doing magic with her skill. She had a podcast which was one of the best in its category, and she has won awards for that. Her name is Roshni Baronia, and she is the founder of podcast launch and management company, which is called Done For You Podcast. She is an award winning serial entrepreneur and an author and a TEDx speaker as well. She has been listed in the 20 most promising women consultants for 2020 by Consultant Review magazine. She also hosts the podcast which I shared with you, Ace the Sales, and which is curated for women small business owners to help them fall in love with selling. The show is available on all the major podcasting platforms. And here she shares her knowledge with women, specially about sales mindset, strategies, and skills that can help them grow their business. In her personal life, she is a mother to a young adult, a wife to a beautiful soul, and loves everything chocolate. She is a workaholic and recovering perfectionist who enjoys yoga and sunrises. So let's find out from Roshni more about what she has to bring here with us. So, with a warm round of applause, let's bring her on. Hey, Roshni, thank you so much for joining me here. How have you been doing?
Yes, I'm good, and thank you so much for inviting me to the Limitless show, Anshu. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure, Roshni, and I really look up to you. You have done quite a lot of commendable things, and so proud of you, being women myself. So please share your journey as to what you are right now. What were those some turning points in your life that have made you who you are?
Absolutely. Thanks for, first of all, sharing this platform and giving me this opportunity to share my journey and what I do and how I arrived here. Because I think it's the journey and the stories that everyone has, which inspires other people to take on with their journeys, right?
Absolutely.
So, just to briefly tell again what I do, because you've already shared that in the introduction. I am currently having a podcast production and management agency for coaches, consultants, experts, entrepreneurs, brands, and businesses. And how I started into getting podcasts done for other people is that I was a podcaster myself. I started my podcast in 2020, and slowly and gradually it made to a lot of top of the charts and got listed and featured. It won awards, and it brought me a lot of recognition as a sales expert, because my podcast is entirely curated for women small business owners.
Yes.
And whatever we talk there is about helping them embrace selling in a way which helps them get comfortable with it and fall in love with it, and which eventually and ultimately helps them grow their business. And that's what our objective is, to help women grow in their business. So through the podcast we are doing that, and my podcast was able to give me a lot of credibility, recognition. So a lot of my peers and network people started asking how to do that, how to start
Right.
a podcast. And I felt that this is one thing, that it's not only about starting a podcast or starting like this YouTube channel, but it's also about the strategy and the support. Because as a solopreneur, as a woman who does so many things, it is very difficult to find the time and the bandwidth to do everything.
Mhm.
So I felt that there is a need to give that support as well as the strategic guidance to how to use this tool of podcast to grow their business. So I launched this. This is not my first business; it's my third venture. And before doing this I am also alongside doing sales consulting and coaching for women business owners. Now, how did I land up doing sales consulting and business coaching for women? So, as an entrepreneur myself, I have been interacting with a lot of women, and I have been on this entrepreneurial journey since 2009. So my first business was into e-commerce, into gifting industry. We were doing personalized products for kids, and it was a very dreamland kind of a business where I was only doing beautiful stuff. And I was also out of curiosity and out of the interest of knowing what other people are doing. I was networking a lot. I was going to every other event, women groups especially, and interacting and trying to know from them how are they growing their business.
Mm-hmm.
And always it turned out that while they were in love with their product, they were very good in whatever they are doing. It was very, very difficult for them to grow their business to the next level because they didn't have the acumen to do it. They didn't have the right mindset or the insight into what it needs or what it takes a business to grow to the next level. And that came naturally to me because I come from a business background. My father is a serial entrepreneur, and somehow it is it is in my DNA, so to speak.
Absolutely.
So that at one point of time I felt that it's no more about me growing my business only. It's about how I can help others grow their business as well. So that's how I started to have this idea about how I can help other women business owners to grow their business. So I started asking them what is the thing that they need the help most with. And everyone came around and said sales is the thing that they are struggling with. How to do sales, how to talk to their clients, how to find more clients, and how to have that entire journey of knowing a customer, then nurturing and engaging and closing and converting them into paying clients. And this was a very difficult task for them to manage as a solopreneur.
Right.
So that's how I got into specifically sales coaching and consulting in 2016. So starting my entrepreneurial journey in 2009 to pivoting to sales consulting in 2016 and now getting into my third business 2020 has been my journey as an entrepreneur.
Amazing, amazing. So, and how did you think of starting your podcast?
My podcast was actually a very innocent, or so to speak, not too much thought about way of just sharing my expertise. Because when we were in the pandemic, of course, we all had a little bit more time in hand with travel not happening. And I was in a lookout to have a medium and a channel through which I can share my expertise to more number of people, because I can work with only limited number of clients, right? I do one-on-one consulting. I work with enterprises and startups, but there is a limited number of people that I can impact and influence with whatever I've got. I might not be the know-it-all kind of a person. There are things which are beyond my knowledge as well. But there are few things that I know through my experiences and through the expertise and the knowledge and the certifications I've done. And it is quite a lot that other people don't know. And I can share them through my experiences, my journeys, talk to other experts and bring it to the table for others to learn from. And that was the only idea to start a podcast, to how I can share whatever I've got to with more number of people. So that's how the podcast came around. And it's been 2.5 years that I've been doing it. And yeah, it's been going great since then. It's led me to start my another business, third business.
Yes, absolutely. So, in that business, I mean, how do you help people? What are the things that are in your periphery of doables?
Yeah, so it's a proper start to end kind of a podcast production company. So, right from the concept of what your podcast should be about, why in the first place you should start a podcast, and how it will align to your business objectives. So, we are specifically into creating podcasts for educators, thought leaders, storytellers, brand and business owners, coaches, consultants, storytellers. So we are specifically focusing into the educational self-help category of podcasts, or so to
Mm-hmm.
speak, content creation.
Mm-hmm.
And we help our clients entirely with the launch strategy, how they should create the podcast. We help them choose the right kind of music, trailer, creating of the strategic plan, and then the ongoing production, post production, editing of the audios, distribution, making it available on all the platforms that
Mm-hmm.
any people can hear the podcast. And then
Mm-hmm.
also with growth of the podcast, the marketing of it,
Mm-hmm.
growing the audience, monetizing the podcast, and all of those things. So it's the
Mm-hmm.
complete solution, a full service solution for experts and entrepreneurs to how to use podcast for their business.
Amazing, amazing. This sounds really good. So when you were in 2009, you shared, Roshni, that you were having e-commerce business. So was that a business that was again started by you?
Yes.
And then you moved on from there. You closed that business and you
Mhm.
completely got into sales consulting.
Yes, yes. In fact, that's also an interesting journey, or so to speak, the story of how I started my first business, because because it was a dreamline. It was a business made for like kids 2 to 12 years of age. We were doing beautiful products, but how I got into starting that was that my son at that point of time was 7 years old, and I used to keep decorating his room with little things, charts and this and that, and designing his bed covers and bed sheets and getting it made from someplace else. And his room was stuffed with so many creations of mine that there was no more place left. And I thought that now what to do? I have to take this out, right? I cannot just stay put by decorating his room. Why not like make it more available to more number of people? um, but because I also have a design background as a professional studies, I did my graduation from NIFT, and I had that design element backing me. So I thought, let's combine this creativity into business and launch something which is around kids having their own space, a playful area where they can think, they can create, and be more playful, right? So we started with the personalized products category of items and gifting things, but but starting my first business has had its own struggles, because I come from a Banya conservative family where I was the eldest daughter-in-law, and going out there to do a job and start something of my own was an alien thought to everyone. So it was not a very smooth journey for me to get into entrepreneurship, but being an entrepreneur, being a business owner was a dream that I had inside me since a long period of time. Because, like I said, I come from a business background. My father is an entrepreneur, and at the age of probably 14 years or so, at the time when we are choosing our subjects in
Right.
10th standard, I
Yes.
had this notion that I want to become a business owner. So I was of the thought that I will take commerce and do
Mm-hmm.
MBA, study how to run a business and
Mm.
start my own business. That was my game plan.
Right.
But as patriarchy says, no, you should have a science graduation degree so that you are the most eligible girl, and
Mm.
then get married and settle down. That's the first
Mm.
to-do list item on the
Mm.
to-do list that you should have.
Right.
So so yes, instead of commerce, I took maths. I did my science graduation, but then since I had a creative bent of mine, I went to NIFT as well. But amongst all these studies and all the journey of adolescence to becoming a young girl, uh, I was holding this dream. I was having this dream of being an entrepreneur, but no one else was sharing that dream.
Supporting,
Everyone
yeah.
was thinking like just get married. That was the
Mm,
first thing on their list.
mm,
So yes, right after NIFT, a very small stint of a job I was able to do, but then I got into the space of marriage. I got married. Of course, marriage comes with its own responsibilities,
responsibilities, yes.
and it was like unlikely for me, being the eldest daughter-in-law, to just go out there and start doing a job or anything. So it was kind of 7 years of a sabbatical.
Mm,
I would say there was a gap in my work experience, so to speak. But when I reached the age of 30, one fine day, I realized I woke up from a long sleep kind of
right.
a thing, that hey, what happened to
Mm,
my entrepreneurial dream? I'm 30
mm,
now, and if I don't do anything about it, no one
mm,
else will. It's in no one
mm,
else's interest to start a business for me. So I
mm,
have to do it. So it was
yes.
a very, very big struggle for me personally, because for a woman, when she decides to go out and do a job or start her own business, the first fights she needs to have is with her own people, her family,
Yes, yes,
because
yes,
their world is getting shaken up, right?
yes,
You
yes,
are moving out, so the comfort zone is like getting cracked
yes.
down. It is being brought down for them.
Mm,
So it was a difficult struggle for me to try to balance everything out, from the family to the child to my own aspirations. And I think it's the same for many women out there. But
mm,
at the same time, if you are able to just stay focused in on what you want, getting started is the hardest part. But if you are once able to do that, then there's no
mm.
stopping and there's no repeat.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that is the most courageous act, that in spite of everything, I was able to start my first business. It was a very small home based business, just a few racks at home. People were coming to my home to buy the bed sheets and all. And then a few months later, I set up a workshop, and from there it grew to an e-commerce business, to supplying pan India and then internationally. So it is a compounding growth if you are
Mm,
able to find your true talent and what you're good at. But the
mm.
hardest part is getting started, and no matter what, you have to do that if you are interested in your own growth.
Yes, I totally agree. So I think pretty inspiring for all the women, especially out here who will be watching us. And I think that initial courage, that initial decision is the most crucial, even according to me, because that is what gets the ball rolling. And I mean, the resilience to
Yes,
basically keep on at it.
true, true. True. Resilience, I think, is one very key factor for anyone who is doing any kind of work. It doesn't matter if it is a business or a job or a profession, or if you're a mom also, because there are a lot of phases you also go along as a mother, as a daughter, as a parent. So it is a difficult role to play as a human being, so to speak. But for women, especially because there are so many battles they have to fight every day, that resilience becomes a very key factor of their life. In fact, I I am reminded of one of the stories, one of the incidences, so to speak, with respect to resilience, is that when I was having my first business, I was also at that point of time, my child was like 7 to 10 years of old age, and we used to take him to tennis coaching and class. So we were a bunch of moms who were like friends also. And amongst them, there was one woman who, at that point of time, also she also started a at home boutique, and I was by that time having my workshop. So it was an interaction. Okay, fine, how you are doing, how I am doing, and all of that. And then kids grew up. We went along our own ways. Just a few years back, just 2 years back, I met her, and it was not a pleasant sight because she was not in a good condition. Her business closed down just 1.5 years after she started, and her kids were not doing well, and she was really really stressed out. And I was not happy to see her in this state. But what I also realized was that I had similar setbacks. Every business has many, many setbacks.
Yes.
But I never gave up. I
Right.
always found another way, another door of opportunity, and went ahead with it.
Right.
And it's been a long journey for me, not to like boast about myself, but just to draw a comparison to say that giving up is very very easy, but to spring back and having that resilience is the key to your growth and success.
Yes.
And at that point of time, I realized that resilience and persistence is so very important if you want to make your mark. And now, after that realization, I have become very, very intentional about having resilience and having that resilience circle around me. So there's a beautiful concept of resilience circle. You can actually build resilience inside you and in your circle. And how I did that was, if I can share very briefly, is by having very selected people around you who can give you that power of resilience. And there are 5 kind of people that I always have in my circle that give me that resilience. So one resilience is intrinsic, but there is also resilience and power and energy that you draw from the people around you. And one of them is having a coach. So I always tend to have a coach, a business coach, a marketing coach, a life coach, some kind of a coach, depending on the kind of journey I have in my life, the kind of transformation and transitions I am having in my life, that they are able to create that safe space. So when I was into my consulting, there was a very big project that came across me, and I was in dual mind that whether I will be able to take this on or not. Maybe I'm taking on something bigger than I can chew.
Right.
And at that point of time, just a 20-minute conversation with my coach helped me get rid of my fear, overcome my fear, and I was able to go ahead and take on that project. So that coach was able to push me and see the potential in me, which probably I am also not able to see at that point of time. So having a coach is very, very important. Second is the power of community.
Yes.
We always need to have that support group, especially as women, where you are seen and heard, where you feel that you belong. There are people who have shared experiences. That community, that power of community is very, very important. So, right from the time when I started my business to today, I have always been part of some or the other community, not just as a silent member, but as a contributor.
Yes.
So that is very important. So community. The third piece is having comrades. So when I moved from a product-based e-commerce business to a service-based consulting business, I didn't know at all anything about selling services.
Right.
I had no credibility about being a sales consultant or a coach, no testimonials, then who will buy from me?
Right.
So at that point of time, I joined a training program, an year-long training program. There were 40 to 50 people in that group. And I was able to share my story, my journey, get up close with them to be vulnerable and tell them the honesty I have, the person I am, rather than what I do. So who I am was more important than what I do. And those people became my brand ambassadors. They were then going out to the world and recommending me my work and helping me get my first few clients. So those comrades are very important.
Yes.
And then there is another kind of group that you need to have, which is your champions. Champions are the people who will keep cheering you on in whatever you do. So when I got into podcasting, it was a very, very new space in India itself, right?
Right.
You cannot find experts who can teach you how to do
Yes.
podcast. Okay, so what I did was that I got together 4 to 5 rookie podcasters. We were all starting out on this journey, and we formed a mastermind group, and we were sharing our learnings, our journeys, and we kept motivating each other, and that enabled me to stay on my journey of podcasting. Otherwise, I would have fallen off the wagon very
Yes.
soon in journey.
Absolutely.
But those champions who can cheer you on is very, very important. And
Mm.
last but not the least, comforters. People who comfort you, who give you that safe space, who that understanding. And that could be anyone, your friend, your grandmother, your father, your mother. For me, it's my father. He probably also doesn't know this, but he is my comfort zone whenever I am confused in life or in business. I just talk to him of how did you used to do it, because he's also a business owner. How
Yeah.
you used to do in that this situation,
Mm.
and he can give me just one line answer, and that would be like uh, give me a clarity this which will like sort things out.
Right.
So I think that that kind of a group, if you can have around yourself, a
Yes.
community, comrades, champions, coach, and comforters, that is very, very important for you to practice that resilience.
Yes.
That's what I have to say.
Beautiful, beautiful sharing. So I think one of the key takeaways I would say for today's session. So next question I have for you is basically fine. I mean, you did e-commerce and you were resilient enough. You then, shifted your thing to consulting. Then you started your podcast and all of this happened. And now even the company which supports people with their podcast. So, what are the 5 crucial things anyone who's looking to start their podcast right now? What are the 5 crucial things you would tell them to take care of or make sure is in place before
Hmm.
they get started?
So I think first of all, they should have a very, very strong purpose as to why they want to start
Right,
podcast.
right,
Okay. So I do help people start podcast for business, but more than the business objectives, first is the purpose, because every activity that you start, be it a marketing activity, be it even posting on LinkedIn, it requires commitment, time, and effort from you. And in order to bring that commitment, you need to have that North Star defined for you. What is your North Star, which will help you keep going?
right.
Right. So because there could be downtimes, there could be moments where you will feel like, oh no, I don't want to do it, it's too much of effort, I don't want to get in front of the mic and record. Like it happens all the time with exercising, right? Every time
Yes,
the alarm goes buzzes, you switch it off and go back to sleep. Every other thing will pull you back, try
right,
to pull you back to the comfort zone. But then
right.
what is it that will pull you out of that comfort zone? That
Yes.
is your North Star. So you
Hmm.
have to find that North Star. So first of all, define what is the purpose that you want to start your podcast for.
Hmm.
Is it
Right.
sharing your voice? It is making an impact. It is inspiring other people. It is giving knowledge to the younger people who are entering your industry. What is that altruistic objective
Hmm.
that you want to achieve through it?
Yeah. The
Then
objective which
comes
is
the
greater
business.
than you.
Yes, something which is greater than you.
Yes.
Then comes the business objective, that how it
Hmm.
aligns to your business
Hmm.
objective, whether it is you want to use it for prospecting, you want
Hmm.
to use it for personal branding, you want to use
Right.
for business branding, you want
Right.
to just sell your courses or programs. What is it that you
Hmm.
want to do?
Right.
So then the part of business objectives comes. Then comes the commitment, because because it's not like one day you will do an episode and the other day, okay, let me just forget about it. I got busy,
Yes.
life happened, and I
Yes.
didn't find the time. That is the simplest excuse everyone can
You
give. I
have to
don't
keep
have the
showing
time.
up.
But
Yes.
then, if you have the North Star in place, if you have the business objectives in place, then commit to the activity, to the project that you are taking on.
Hmm.
Commit to a specific timeline. Okay, I will do these many episodes at least. Before completing this number of episodes, I will not give up,
Right.
whatever it takes. So that
Hmm.
is the commitment. Then comes the patience, because everything takes time, right? If you start a podcast, you start a YouTube channel, you start posting on LinkedIn, things will happen on its take its time to happen, right? They
Hmm.
are not instant noodles that in the first
Truly,
episode or
truly.
first 5 episodes you will start making millions. So
Hmm.
have that patience to stay on the journey. And lastly, always monitor your progress. It's not that that the first episode will sound horrible. Okay, the first episode will sound horrible. You will crib, oh my god, what an horrible voice I have, and all of that. But then have patience and keep at it, and then you will, when you will reach 10th, 12th, 15th, 20th, 50th episode, you will be a pro,
Hmm.
right? And then you will see your progress, both in terms of how you have grown as a podcaster, as an interviewer, as a host, the kind of
Hmm.
content you are giving, all of that, and the number of downloads you are having. So all of
Hmm.
that will improve, but keep a sight on the progress you are making, and keep a track of that progress. Keep encouraging yourself, patting your back, that hey, I've come a long way, and
Yes.
it's been a good journey. So just those were the things that one can do when they are on podcast journey.
Right. Great. Thank you. So now, apart, from these things, this is the way someone starts a podcast. If after, I would say 50, you just said, after 50, and continuously making a measurement of how far you have come, and where do you want to go, make an assessment. How, if things are not working out for you, what should you do?
Hmm.
What are the next things you should look at, as to how you can make it better, or where you are lagging behind?
Hmm.
How do you go ahead?
Hmm. So see, it's always a evaluation on a strategic level as well as
Hmm.
execution level. So
Right.
either your strategy is not right, or the
Hmm.
implementation of it, right?
Hmm.
So you have to keep reviewing that very often, on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis. And the way podcast industry is working right now is, it's very green, it's very new, in
Hmm.
India at least. It's a very
Right.
matured industry in US per se, but in India it's very green. However, the opportunity is massive, because we are having 57.6 million monthly listeners to
Hmm.
podcasts in India.
Right. Right.
And for brands and businesses, especially, 8 out of 10 people are making purchases after listening to podcast. So there is a huge opportunity of creating content as well as promoting your brand and business on podcast.
Right.
But everything takes time.
Hmm.
Consistency comes before conversion. So
True.
if even if you reach 50th episode, it doesn't matter the which number it is, there
Hmm.
always comes a tipping point after which the growth is organic. Then you don't have to do any effort, and the growth will happen, both in terms of audience as well as the results that you are going to see with it. Now, if you know
Hmm.
that your strategy is in place, it is
Hmm.
right, then you have to wait for that tipping point. But if you're not sure of the strategy basis of your business,
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
probably broadcast is not your thing, right? Then you also have to see that whether the implementation is right or not. If the strategy
Hmm.
in place, are you putting out a professionally done podcast, or you just putting out a half baked thing? Because the way you show up in front of
Right.
your audience,
Right.
uh, the similar kind of results you will get, right? So if you are able putting out a well done podcast, then there's no stopping from it. But if there is any lack in that, then you cannot be 100% sure of the results. So it's a combination of the strategy and the execution, and waiting for the tipping point. But if you feel that there is a miss in any of these three, then probably podcast is not for you.
Interesting. So, Roshni, you wear so many hats. Now you are also a mother, a wife, and of course, a bahu of a family. So,
Yes.
how do you manage all the different hats? How are you able to kind of, uh, give time to all the different challenges and responsibilities, and make sure that you are doing justice to everything?
Yes, so important question, Anshu, because I think this is a struggle with every woman. I know this is something we often get asked, and we often struggle with. That's why it is asked, because in spite of so many answers and stories people share, experience share, it is a different journey for everyone, and it is about finding the best combination for yourself. So just to share what I have experienced and how I do it is, I was miserable at it at the start, I will admit. Okay. I used to have so much of guilt when I used to go to my workshop and leave my child behind. And when I was here, I was always worrying about what my workers are doing.
Correct, correct,
So it's a
absolutely.
constant struggle, and we are always struck with guilt. Uh, but it was a learning journey for me, and what came out of that journey were two things. First is prioritization. So what happened was that I when initially I was not able to prioritize, I was trying to do everything myself and to be everything to everyone.
Everyone.
So I wanted to please everyone. No one should have complained from me, because I'm doing something for myself.
Correct.
I'm doing business. So there is that is something which I want to do. And since I'm doing something for myself, that put me in a guilt
In
trap
a guilt
that
mode.
I should not give any opportunity
Correct.
to anyone that they should complain. So I was working
Correct.
extra hard.
Right.
So you have to prioritize at what stage, what phase of your life, what is important to you. Whether family is important, whether child is important, whether his or her education is important, whether your husband's career and his change is important, whether your own peace is important, your purpose or your business is important. What is important, because we can have everything, but at different stages and phases of life.
Yes.
So prioritize at what age, what phase, what you want. So when I was not able to prioritize, I was miserable. And then I decided I'm not going to fight against the flow. So my people, my folks want my attention for this many years. Okay, I will prioritize them. I will not work. Let the Devar and the Nanads and all the people get married off. My
Right.
child to be big enough that he can manage
Yes.
himself, and then I will do whatever I want.
Right.
So there is no guilt in that.
Absolutely.
And then when I got into business, then it was like, "No, my work is my priority. Now everything else falls second." And so that is prioritization. And the second thing, which is very, very important, is creating of boundaries. In India, especially, and especially in patriarchal societies, especially if you have joint families, there is no concept of boundaries.
Boundary. Yes.
Yeah. I learned that late again, but once I learned it, oh my God, that's such a bliss and peace. So, so you need to learn to create boundaries and then train others how to respect your boundaries. Because there
Right.
will be times when people will overstep those boundaries. So you have to train them. It would takes time. You again will feel the guilt of being, oh my God, I'm so bad that I'm treating them like this. But after 1, 2, 3 times, It is a very good equation you will be able to establish with your folks, with people around you, because then they will be able to understand and respect you for what's important for you. So this prioritization and creating of boundaries goes hand in hand. And once you are able to do that, you will be able to find harmony in whatever you want to do and how you want to be present for others.
Right.
So,
right. So, in this round, one last question to you is the people who are in the beginning phases of their careers, from 0 to say 5 years of experience,
yes.
especially for those people, what would you tell them in case they are looking for growth, a fast career growth in the organization, or they are feeling like they are in a rut and they want to get out, be entrepreneurs,
Yes.
follow their passion? It can be a man, it can be a woman, but what are the things they need to keep it in mind in the beginning phases of their careers?
So I usually work more with entrepreneurs and business owners. But yes, I do understand that this challenge of people who are entering workplace and 1 to 5 years of experience is a very, very difficult challenge, because they themselves don't know many of the times as to what they want from their job.
Yes.
And what their future career should look like. So they might have studied something and they got into a job which is entirely of a different space and a domain. So that becomes a chaos and confusion there itself. But the one thing that I feel that this generation, especially, and the new workforce should have, and they already have, is to have the willingness to explore. So just explore and experiment. Give yourself that time span of 2 years, 3 years, 4 years to experiment with different things. And then try to find out what works best for you. What kind of a role you enjoy the most, where you are able to bring out your strengths. Try to play to your strength. This is a very, very beautiful thing that I learned from someone recently, that we always try to build up or improve or try to rectify our weaknesses. We try to keep skilling ourselves. While it is important to upskill yourself, be also mindful about your strengths. Please also recognize and acknowledge what you are good at.
Yes.
And play to your strengths. So get into roles and jobs which shine the spotlight on your strengths. And go after that. So that's one, explore and play to your strengths. And also, lastly, get mentorship early on in your career, because we always think about mentorship when we are probably at mid level in our career, because then the organization tries to arrange that for you. But even if you are a beginner, there is no dearth of experts and seniors outside your organization as well. So be a little bit more proactive and get mentorship and learn from people who have walked the path of success, walked the journey that you are trying to get on. So learn from others and be the wise person.
Amazing, amazing. Because, what happens is we lose a lot of time being in wrong careers and wasting too much of our potential, 10, 15, 20 years.
20 years, yes.
And then we realize.
And then we call it midlife crisis,
Yes.
which we could have avoided.
Yes, yes. So I feel that truly, I mean, in the first 5 years itself, they should awaken to the fact, are they liking what they're doing? Do they see a future over there? Or they need to reinvent themselves and, then move ahead in another direction.
Yes, exactly.
So great, Roshni. We will move on to our next round. If I have to ask you, Roshni in one word.
Awesome. I'm awesome.
Your superpower?
My superpower, having a growth mindset.
Amazing. The philosophy you live your life by.
Persistence pays.
Your all-time favorite movie.
Zindagi na mile dobara.
Okay. 3 myths about selling.
3 myths about selling.
Selling.
That only extroverts, aggressive, talkative people can do it. Only men are very good at selling. And the third myth is that following up or asking your potential client as to where they are in their journey of buying is being pushy. No, it's not being pushy. It's just giving that reminder to them that, hey, this is something which is important for you. What action you are taking about it. So it's not about me selling them something, but it's me reminding them about something which is very, very important for them.
Nice. You are a morning person or a night person?
So I'm a morning person on weekdays, night person on weekends. Yeah.
Okay. What are 3 non-negotiables for you in your life?
3 non-negotiables. One is now my boundaries. Second is freedom of choice, freedom of whatever is important for me, whatever I think right is right, and having the freedom to pursue it. So that freedom is very important. And last thing is that yeah, I want to be really my son, my I share a very emotional bond with my son. So anything coming in between that is like no, not allowed.
Got
So yeah, those are the 3 things.
Right. Please paint the picture of your ideal life.
Ideal life right now, what I have. So I'm able to do the work I want to do, the way I want to do, and I have some beautiful people around me who help me, encourage me, who are part of my resilience circle, and I always tend to get allies and champions who can support me in my growth. So right now it's a beautiful time in my life.
Amazing. So any bucket list which is, I mean, what's the nearest time that you see one of the bucket list items that is unfulfilled,
Ah,
you filling
oh
up?
yes, bucket list. So bucket list is a long list if you talk about that. But one thing I definitely have in my bucket list or wish list, whatever you want to say it, is to open a cafeteria in a hill station, which I will operate only 2 to 3 months of the year. So it will like be like a vacation as well as doing something there. So not having that buzz of city life, but just being there on the hills. So that's kind of a bucket list item I have.
Okay. And how soon do you see yourself doing that?
Probably in 5 years, yes.
Okay. Your greatest fear?
Greatest fear. I've worked a lot on overcoming a lot of fears. What is my fear? Not right now, I mean. I cannot think of. I used to be fearful of lot many things. I mean, doing the such kind of interviews used to scare me at one point of time. But you know, things get easier for you as you travel the journey and be in the process. So just trust the process, embrace the journey. That's my motto. So I
And
don't feel
become
anything
fearless.
right now.
Great. And your all-time favorite food?
Food, pasta.
All time.
Yes,
So
all
you
time.
can have it anytime.
Yes, anytime. Arabita, white sauce, pesto, or just pasta salad
Or
in any
spaghettis.
form and shape.
And the last one, who is the person that you really look up to in your life? You're the most inspirational person in your life.
Um, so if I have to say a name who is like a role model kind of a person, then I really get inspired by Indra Nooyi. I admire her for the achievements she's had in spite of all the things against her, woman, immigrant, brown colored woman, all of that. And in spite
Right.
of that, she did what she did. So I really admire her for that. And if I want to say around me, I think it's my son. I look up to him, even though he's so much younger to me. He's my son, but I look up to him because he is a self-made person like me. I am proud to call myself that whatever I do, it's been a lot of inputs and struggles of my own. Of course, there are people around me who support me, but, but at the end of the day, it's my doing and my being. And I see a lot of that in him as well. And his ability to take rejection and come up from it. So that same resilience. So, yes, I learn a lot from, especially tech. So.
Great. I'm sure his chest will, kind of swell up when he sees this interview, and he'll be like, wow, I have
Yeah,
made my mother so proud.
yes.
So it will be a grand moment for him. Thank you so
He
much,
will get
Roshni.
embarrassed that I talk about him, but yeah.
No,
Because
I don't
that's
think so.
the kind of
Nowadays, I
like,
don't see children getting really embarrassed. They are
yeah.
almost on your face, in your face. And any last message that you have, you want to share with the audience?
Yes. So I want to say that give yourself the permission to make mistakes, because whenever we do something wrong, we always try to hide it under the carpet or crib or despise our own selves that you don't have the ability to do anything in life, kind of a thing. So we are our worst critic in that sense.
True.
But please don't do that. Life doesn't end at one mistake. You
Not at
always
all.
have another chance. So give
Yes.
yourself the permission to make
Yeah,
mistakes.
true. And learn and move on.
And move on.
And do a different mistake next time.
Yeah. Don't repeat the same one.
Yeah.